Ohayo.
Welcome to the So Japanese podcast, a podcast about all things Japan from a
Japanese.
and foreign perspective. We are your hosts. My name is John.
My name is Ryusuke.
Thank you for joining us today.
Arigato.
Today's episode, we're going to continue with the spooky Halloween theme. We're going to talk about some famous ghost stories of Japan.
Ghost story. Yeah.
And we'll have a street level Japanese segment at the end.
Right.
So, I guess we should start off by talking about one of the most famous haunted places in Japan. Apparently, some like top 10 most haunted places around the world. This is like number one.
For sure.
I'm sure our listeners have heard about it. In Japanese, it's called
Aokigahara.
Aokigahara. In English, it has a nickname of Suicide Forest.
Suicide Forest.
So since the 1960s, Aokigahara has become associated with suicide. It's the world's most used suicide sites. And because of this, there's signs at the start of all the trails to urge suicidal visitors to think of their family and to contact suicide prevention associations. This forest is like near Mount Fuji, right?
Yeah. I would say like under Mount Fuji.
And so like Mount Fuji, from our episode about that, we talked about how it's like a sacred religious site, spiritual. So I guess like
it has all
that spooky vibe anyway, right?
Yeah.
So many suicides happen in this forest that there are annual body searches that are conducted by the police or volunteers and journalists since 1970. So every year they go and find bodies.
It's kind of like they have to.
Right? You have to clear it out.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So apparently every year hundreds and hundreds of bodies are found. And apparently the most common way of suicide is by hanging and drug overdose. And apparently the forest is very easy to get lost in. Compasses and GPS often doesn't work in the forest. Apparently it's because of the high iron content in the soil. I guess it messes up with things.
Yeah.
That's crazy though.
That's what they say.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or it's the ghosts.
Yeah.
So for this reason, a lot of people, when they enter the forest, they will either like tie string or rope or put stickers to kind of mark their trail or mark the trees. But there's stories of people saying that their rope or their signs are like deliberately cut or messed with. And then these people end up getting lost in the forest.
Cool. Yeah, because this forest is like really, really deep. So like once you get in without any sign or any mark, obviously like you lost right away.
Right.
But that's why it's good for those people who wants to end it up their life. They just go in anyway. They know they're not gonna come back. And they know no one's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Maybe there's other bodies gonna be there, but they won't be scared because they know what they're gonna do, right?
So from our last episode talking about Yurei, how you become a ghost because your body is not found, proper funeral rites haven't been given, so you stay in like purgatory, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's why there's ghosts in this forest.
Yep.
So people report of ghost sightings, they hear screams. People put like creepy dolls there. So in general, it's a very spooky area. I wouldn't mind going and checking it out.
Well, like, so you should check the documentary about the Aokigahara.
I think there's like tourists that like go to places around the world. Like I forgot what they call themselves, but they're like ghost hunter type tourists where they go to wanna see ghosts. I'm sure this is a big tourist destination for those people. Next, we'll talk about. I guess we'll read the stories of 3 famous Japanese ghost stories. You said like they're like the most famous, right?
Yeah. And a ghost story in Japan, in Japanese, we call kaidan.
Kaidan.
It's not the stair. We also call kaidan for the stairs.
Okay.
But it's a different kanji.
But pronounced the same.
Pronounced the same, yeah.
So, the first story is about
Otsuyu.
So, Otsuyu's story begins with a widower named Shinojo Ogiwara. One night, Ogiwara noticed a beautiful woman walking along a dark road. Beside her was a servant who was lighting the way with a paper lantern in a peony design. Peony is a beautiful flower. Ogiwara approached the beautiful lady and asked her name, which was Otsuyu. He then invited her to his home, and to his surprise, she agreed to spend the evening, only to bid him farewell before sunrise. The next evening, she appeared again and once more stayed with him until dawn. These nightly visits continued, with Ogiwara so consumed by obsession for Otsuyu that he isolated himself in his home and stopped going out altogether. That sounds so Japanese too. Right? Hikikomori type.
Yep.
After 20 days, a neighbor grew concerned over Ogiwara's disappearance. Upon again hearing laughter and singing coming from Ogiwara's home, the neighbor peeked into Ogiwara's room, where he then saw a shocking sight. Otsuyu was not a young maiden, but a skeleton. Upon learning this truth, the next day, Ogiwara hurried to a nearby temple, where a monk showed him Otsuyu's grave. There on the grave laid a tattered paper lantern with a peony design. The monk gave Ogiwara's a magic charm, which would ward Otsuyu's ghosts away from his home. Although the charm worked well, Ogiwara was already entranced and just couldn't forget Otsuyu. One night, he got drunk and visited her grave. There, Otsuyu was waiting for him, as beautiful and bewitching as ever. Ogiwara didn't return home for many days, prompting the concerned neighbor and monk to open up Otsuyu's grave. They found Ogiwara lying lifeless, wrapped up in the arms of a skeleton. Next one is Okiku. So Okiku's story starts long ago, when as a servant, she was hired to wash the dishes for the lord of Himeji Castle. And living in Himeji, I remember people talking about this ghost story. Like on a tour, I think.
Yeah.
So Okiku's beauty caught the eye of a samurai named Aoyama, and he became obsessed by her. He courted the young servant, but to no avail. One day, as a desperate ploy to possess her, Aoyama came up with a plan. He hid a priceless dish, one of 10, belonging to his lord, and then questioned Okiku, "What have you done with the 10th plate?" Knowing such an offense was punishable by death, Okiku furiously searched for it everywhere, but could not find the missing dish. Aoyama calmly watched on. Finally, he made her an offer. If she were to become his mistress, he would tell the lord she was not to blame. Okiku again declined. At this, Aoyama flew into a rage and ordered the young dishwasher beaten and thrown into the well. Soon after her untimely death, Okiku's ghost could be seen wandering the castle, searching for the lost plate. You could hear her counting, obviously in Japanese, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when no 10th plate was found, she let out a blood-curdling scream. It is said that even today, those who overhear her counting might fall very ill, and those who hear her make it all the way to 9 and hear the scream will soon die.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6、7、8、9。
And I think this story is like the basis for Ringu.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
The girl coming out of the well. Right?
Yeah. The popular horror movie from Japan. So
I think Ringu made people think all wells are haunted. Or something can come out of it.
So Kiku is the Sadako's senpai.
Yeah, that's the OG, right?
Yeah.
Next story
Yep.
is
Oiwa-san.
Oiwa.
Mm-hmm.
So Oiwa
Mm-hmm.
was married to Iemon, a masterless samurai.
Mm-hmm.
Just a short note, when we talked about samurai,
Mm-hmm.
masterless samurai were known as like kind of, you don't have a master, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of like not important.
Yeah, Ronin.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So like you're a samurai.
Ronin. Yeah, Ronin,
right? You're a samurai, but you still think you deserve the prestige, but without a master, you're nothing. So, but you don't want to do just any type of work.
No.
So you're kind of like jobless.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So although her husband was down on his luck, Oiwa remained a devoted and loving wife and worked hard to support him. Meanwhile, Iemon befriended an elderly and very rich doctor, Ito, whose granddaughter, Oyume, fell in love with the out-of-work samurai. As a doting grandfather, Ito would use all his power to grant Oyume happiness. So he offered Iemon great wealth, a life of ease, and Oyume's hand in marriage. Ome, hand in marriage. That is, if Iemon would rid himself of Oiwa. Iemon fell to this temptation. Putting their plan into action, Ito gave Iemon a mysterious powder to poison Oiwa, slipping it into her food day by day. Oiwa slowly became weaker and weaker. The poison ate away at her beauty. By the time she discovered her husband's insidious plan, it was too late. Feeling ill and exhausted, she noticed some of her fallen hair on the tatami mats, prompting her to comb and pin up her long tresses. As she stood before the mirror, she caught sight of her hideous, disfigured face and collapsed. The shock was her undoing. In her last moments of life, Oiwa managed to curse her deceitful husband, and in death, her vengeful spirit would bedevil Iemon. He would see her mutilated image everywhere, appearing in the faces of people he would encounter and even materializing in lanterns. It was not long before Iemon would descend into madness. This art is very famous. I see it everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but I've seen it in many famous paintings. A lantern with a face on it. That's this story, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, these are like three traditional
Japanese horror story, like old story.
And these stories, super old.
Yeah.
The time of the samurai, right? And these stories, I think, became like inspiration for a lot
for
of
the modern horror story. Yeah.
We have a more modern story, the Howling Inunaki Tunnel. So apparently they're not sure, but Inunaki Village is a place or was a place, or maybe it's not. But rumors have persisted in this village that it was like a lawless place. People would go there and do whatever, live and do whatever they want, right? It's located in Kyushu's Fukuoka Prefecture. But yeah, so this tunnel is the only way to get to this village.
To get the village,
And there's a, in quotes, official sign at the start of the tunnel saying the Japanese constitution is not in effect past here. So meaning all who enter are on their own to face the real or supernatural horrors that await them. That's a creepy sign.
That's a creepy sign. Normally, if this happened in US, that means, oh, there's an army base.
Yeah. Or like a UFO is hidden there, right?
Yeah.
So apparently in this tunnel or near the tunnel, you can hear like dogs howling, people screaming. Apparently like a lot of murders have taken place there. But if it's like a real village and it's lawless, I could see a lot of horrific things happening. Locals of the area say that there are electronic devices and even cars break down around the tunnel. And they always hear barking dogs and ghastly screams from inside the tunnel. At this tunnel, it's the site of one of the most gruesome murders in modern Japanese history. So I'll quickly go through this story. So on December 7th, 1988, midday, the burned factory worker, the burned body of a factory worker, Umeyama Koichi, 20 years old, was discovered at Inunaki Mountain Pass. The police arrested a group of youths aged 16 to 19 from the Takawa district under the suspicion of killing Umeyama by pouring gasoline on him and setting him on fire. So the report of this story goes, so Umeyama was stopped at a stoplight on his way home. This gang of youths stopped the car and said, "We need your car to pick up some girls, so quit acting so tough and get out." When Umeyama refused, the youths attacked him and abducted him, where they assaulted him. While they were assaulting him, I guess the kids got distracted and Umeyama escaped. So despite his injuries, he attempted to make his way home. However, unable to get any help from passing cars, he was captured by the group again. The angry youths tried to throw Umeyama off Kanda Port. However, not wanting to die, he clung to the fence with all his might and withstood their assault. One of the youths, seeing Umeyama like this, felt remorse or perhaps fear and suggested they should stop. The ringleader, afraid their attack would be discovered, said to his friends, "We're all in this together." And so they decided to kill him. They put Umeyama in the trunk of his car and beat him with cranks, wrenches, and other tools. They tried to get rid of the body at Rikimaru Dam. But fearing the body would float, they instead decided to burn the body so it would be impossible to identify who he was, and made for the abandoned old Inunaki tunnel. So once they arrived at the tunnel, they poured gasoline, which they acquired in a PET bottle, in like a water bottle, plastic bottle, at a gasoline station on the way, saying their bike had run out of gas. Over Umeyama's head, he screamed out in terror, and it echoed loudly throughout the ghastly abandoned tunnel. Even before the incident, where there were many stories about vengeful ghosts in the old tunnel. Perhaps because of this, the youths flinched just for a moment. I guess they got scared themselves, right? And Umeyama took the chance to run again, fleeing into the forest. The youths called out to him, "We're not going to do anything, so come out. We're not lying." Having suffered such violence, it would be hard to believe such a statement. However, for some reason, Umeyama believed them and made himself known. The youths captured him for the third time. They stuffed ripped clothes into his mouth, tied his hands and feet, and repeatedly hit him over the head with a stone. It's said the blood spray from this flew far enough away to land on the guardrail nearby. Yet he still wouldn't die, and begging for his life, the youths once again poured gasoline over Umeyama's head and set him on fire. Umeyama struggled violently, writhing in pain as he still asked for help. It's said that the burnt remains of his clothes were also found scorched on the guardrail. Driven mad with pain, Umeyama ran all the way back into the entrance of the tunnel where all his strength finally left his body and he collapsed. The youth left, but they wanted to check that Umeyama was actually dead this time, so they returned to the scene and made sure he was no longer moving before returning to Fukuoka City. At a bar afterwards, the youths were heard cheerfully boasting that we just killed someone, we set him on fire. Umeyama's cause of death was said to be from blood loss from the head. It's impossible to imagine the pain and suffering he must have been in, his body being set alight until finally died from blood loss.
Wow.
So the next day, his body was found and the youths were arrested shortly after. Pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
Right? For kids, too.
Yeah.
So this story is fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's many other real life murder stories involving this tunnel.
Yeah.
You have another ghost story?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like last time, I have another one. Again, this is also tunnel. I guess because Japan is like the land by itself. It's like there's a lot of mountain and hills and everything, right? So we have so many tunnels everywhere.
That's true.
Yeah. But so this tunnel is one of the famous tunnel in my area, which is Tokai, like Aichi. It's called Isegami Tunnel. This tunnel opened in 1897, like 30 years of Meiji era. And then the old Isegami Tunnel was like used for like before they use for the horse to bring all the product and everything.
Okay.
So this tunnel is really popular to bring its stuff from Aichi to other spot. But then when they make the new tunnel more easy to access, and this tunnel basically get abandoned. It's old, it's small. But then after that, people start talking about all this like haunted story. And most famous one is like when you go there and you see the women with the white clothes, like a yukata style, and just crying, looking for a kid.
Okay.
Because the story was like this woman, the kids got sick. So she wanted to bring these kids to the hospital, but she didn't have any car or even horse. So she was walking, climb the mountain, and then trying to go through the tunnel. But then the baby died when they're in a tunnel.
Oh.
Yeah. But this is about the story. So my story, yes, we went there. It's really spooky. Like there's no light. Even inside the tunnel, there's no light. And then the size of tunnel is only like one car can go through. And then I would say it's like 500 meter long. I don't think it's like 1 kilometer long, but it's quite long. So of course we went to there at nighttime. So when you get there, you turn all your light off. It's just dark.
Okay, yeah.
You can't see the outside of light.
Okay. You
know
can't
what I
see
mean?
like in front of you even. It's so dark.
You can't see anything. So I visit this spot several times, and couple times I walk by myself without light back and forth.
Nice. What's on the other side?
It's just a exit, and then you can go to other spot. So the street is still exists.
Oh,
but because the new tunnel is under the old tunnel.
I see.
So the old tunnel, basically you have to go aside, and then there's a side street, and then you just go up.
Okay.
And then you can find it. So many times I did that, and it was nothing. It was like okay. It was scared, yes, but it was okay. But only one day, me and my friends, with my car, we went there, and then we heard someone say that like you should stop in the middle of tunnel, turn off your engine, everything, and then the traction, how to say the sound, the car honk, yeah. So honk 3 times.
Okay.
And turn right.
Okay.
And like people said like they might have something gonna happen.
Okay.
So I did it.
Turn right as in like look right.
No, sorry. Turn off that light.
Oh, turn off the
Turn
light.
off
Okay,
the
sorry.
engine, everything. Yeah.
Honk 3 times, turn off the engine, turn off the lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did it. There was 1, 2, I think 5 of us. And I did it. I turned on the light, everything. And I see something.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But like same as last time. When I actually see something, I don't want to say because I don't want everybody just get panicked.
Okay.
And then like people are going to start doing something stupid shit.
Yeah.
So I was just like freeze. And I look at it again and it's gone. So I was like, and my friend, they're in the back. They start saying like, what was it?
Okay.
And I was like, all right, calm down.
Yeah.
Everybody, did you guys see something? And everybody said, yes.
Oh, yeah?
What was it? And then they said, the woman with white clothes.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I thought it was just me. And I thought it was just, like, because I was thinking too much.
Yeah.
But if all of us sees that, that's actually true. Or maybe we all thinking.
But that's what happens, right? Like the group mentality, right?
Exactly.
Everyone's in a small confined area. You're all wanting to see it. You're thinking of it.
Yeah.
And then your mind can play tricks on you.
Yeah.
Right?
But
that's fun.
On that time, of course, we see it.
Yeah.
So my friends, they start telling me like, hey, back up.
Yeah.
You shouldn't go straight. We should go back. And I was like, there's no way I can back up for like this long tunnel.
Yeah.
And then my car was kind of big car.
Okay.
So it just fit perfectly.
Oh, that's hard. Yeah.
So I was like, guys, calm down. I need to go out. Just go straight. So are you guys ready? And then they're like, I don't want to do it. Then I was like, okay, so you get out
and walk back.
Walk back. And then they're like, because I don't want to break my car.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay. Of course, everybody was like closing their eyes. And we all guys, okay? We are all guys.
Yeah.
They're fucking hugging each other because they're so scared.
Yeah.
And I was the driver. There's no one touching me or whatever. And I told them like, don't touch me or don't do anything.
Okay.
I'm gonna drive.
Creep me out. Yeah.
So we drive.
Yeah.
And then we get the point. Everybody was like, didn't see anything. We get out the tunnel. But then, like I say, I visit the spot a couple times. We know how to go home. But only that day, we actually lost.
You got lost?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
We were like, what's going on? Why? Where we are? Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
And then that time, we don't, the cell phone we had, but it wasn't like GPS cell phone. Yeah. It's like just a cell phone. And I didn't have GPS system on my car. So basically like we just like driving around in a forest. And then also like 1 hour after, we could see some street sign. Then we know where we are.
Yeah.
But again, like we were all saying like, how come that happened?
So you got lost for an hour?
Yeah.
Interesting. You just kept on driving?
Yeah.
The roads didn't look familiar?
No.
Interesting.
Only that day.
Maybe you were in the other realm. Interesting.
And also maybe that was the warning. Hey,
don't come back. Did you guys go back?
I don't think so.
You learned your lesson.
Yeah. So yeah, we see it and we had this type of like situation. And yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
You mentioned like honk 3 times, turn off your lights, or whatever. It sounds like urban legend type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like in I don't know, the Western world. I'm sure Japan has something similar, like Bloody Mary. You go into the washroom, turn off the lights, you say Bloody Mary 3 times, and then she will appear in the mirror or whatever. Are there urban legend stories like that in Japan? I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So maybe for our next episode,
we should talk about that.
Urban legends.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
We'll continue with our spooky theme of this month. You mentioned you guys saw the woman, the ghost. You got so scared you guys were frozen. So this brings us to our street level Japanese segment. Phrases to describe being kawaii, scared.
Kawaii.
So the first one, to shudder. Shudder in fear, I suppose, right?
ゾッとする。
Zotto suru. Next one, spine tingling.
背筋が凍る。
背筋が凍る. And feet frozen in fear.
足がすくむ。
足がすくむ. And with these phrases, it's common for people to say, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I've always wondered how, like in our last episode, we had pera pera onomatope, like different sounds of like spooky sounds and stuff. What do ghosts say in Japan? Like in English, ghosts say like boo, or that's what, I don't know. That's what they say. But how about in Japan?
In Japan, ghosts say, Urameshi-ya.
Really?
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
That means loosely. Sorry. That means I have a grudge. I'm angry. I'm revengeful.
So that's like the common theme with ghosts in Japan, right?
Yeah.
They're all angry. How about if I'm trying to scare my friend, if I'm trying to scare you, I'm hiding in the room, you come in and I go, boo. What do you guys say in Japanese?
We say, wa.
Wa. Okay.
Yeah.
That's different
Wa.
too.
And then people get scared also. So, double wa.
How about like the haunting sound, like
in Japan, most common is like
I guess it's like from the wind sound or
something. Yeah.
Right? Doro. Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does it for today's episode. I hope you enjoy those spooky stories.
ね、怖い。
I hope we did them justice, telling them. Yeah, so next episode we'll do urban legends.
Yeah.
And that should end it for the series of spooky podcasts of October. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
If you guys have any more suggestions of future episode ideas, let us know.
Yep.
You can DM us on any of our
social media.
You can email us at info@sojapanese.com. Yeah. And as usual, follow us if you haven't done so already on Instagram or TikTok. Give us 5 stars. Follow us on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. It really helps to push the podcast to new listeners. Thank you so much.
ありがとう。バイバイ。
わ。
わ。